I'm Janet Connor, prayer artist, mystic witch, and a few other things. And today, Monday, November the 1st, 2021, I'm starting something new on this YouTube channel. I am going to read to you my newsletter. I have been sending out a Sunday newsletter for how long? Since 2008. And here's what it looks like if you get it in your email or on your phone. And it's called Notes from the Field. And as long as I have this up, I'll show you what it looks like on Facebook. Are you connected with my Janet Connor Prayer Artist Professional page? Here it is with a beautiful image that Jamie Thumb, fabulous virtual assistant, finds for it. And finally, here it is. She also converts it to a blog post. This is the navigation bar on my website. And she converts it into a blog post. And from there, it's so easy to share. You just grab that URL and send it to friends. And while you're here, if you are not already subscribed, you can subscribe to the newsletter. So she posts it. You can get this newsletter, Notes from the Field, every Sunday on your email, Facebook, my blog, my website, Instagram, Twitter, but not on YouTube. And my calling, my direction for all of next year is to really bring this channel to life. Really use it as a communication vehicle to share all the delicious things that are coming. And they're coming because of the content of this newsletter. So I decided that it might be fun, it's an experiment, today's day one, to read you my newsletter so that you get a sense, if you haven't yet been in any of my intensives, you might not really feel the excitement and the energy that's in those newsletters. But once you start reading my books and coming to my events, people always say, oh, I hear you, I hear you, I hear you. And so I'm giving you an opportunity to hear me, perhaps for the first time. And secondly, and I'm kind of excited about this, I can show you what I'm writing about. I can show you the mandalas. I can show you the books that I'm ecstatic about. I'm going to introduce you to this one. So here we go. Experiment number one. Now I have to move it over so that I can read it to you and hopefully still be looking at the camera at least a little bit. So bear with me if my eyes kind of veer away from looking directly at you. So, newsletter, October 31st, fun date. And I'm reading it to you today on Monday, November the 1st, was the year of the body. If you haven't been reading my newsletters, this entire year is a 5, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 1 is a 5. 5 is the human body. This is the year of the body, and this has been week 44, in which we discover the mandala is far, 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 far more magical than we ever knew. Friends, soul writers, mystics, and lovers of prayer, when I announced in 2018 that I would no longer teach my courses, and that happened because I heard prayer artist, and I'm obedient, and I said, okay, this is slightly terrifying, and I know it changes everything, but if you want me to be your prayer artist, I'll be your prayer artist. And poof, I put out a newsletter that said I'm not teaching my courses anymore. Well, you inundated me with emails to please, 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 please keep offering the Lotus and the Lily, which is my second book. And I promised, I will always offer this intensive. And it's no longer a course. It has shifted into being a prayer intensive, as is everything that I offer, because it's such a sacred annual experience to look back at the year that's ending. We always start in mid-November. Okay, let's look back at what 2021 was really all about and what really happened. And we're always a little surprised to discover that a lot of things happened that we weren't really aware of. But by taking the time to look back, yes, we can really breathe in what January through November has been bringing us. Then, as we approach the solstice, we turn to face the year to come, 2022, and we create a mystical mandala infused with our commitments. How will we live in service and love and joy in the year to come? Well, without fail, 1 year later, we're stunned by how the mandala that we made with our hands, that we thought we made with our hands, right? That we thought we understood, has been singing a song all her own. And she has been delivering insights and surprises and synchronicities throughout the year, guiding us gently but firmly into a much more expansive version of who we're here to be than we ever realized. Now, I've done this for 11 years, right? And I'm still asking the question, how does it work? I'm the poster child for this. I am living proof that these mandalas are magic, but how does it work? I've made 11 of them, and I am still discovering just how magical they are. In the first few years, I really tried to predict or at least declare what I wanted to happen in the year ahead. This is my first one, by drawing or naming my requests on the periphery of the mandala. But then when the year ended and I stepped into this looking back process that is so essential to Lotus and Lily, here's my 2011. It still had pictures of what I thought I wanted. Without fail, I'd look back and see that what actually happened was bigger and more exciting and more magical than anything I had placed on that mandala. Even so, I confess, it took me till 2015. Here's my 2015 mandala, and you now see there's nothing on the periphery. The focus is exclusively on Sophia in me, because Sophia arrived in December of 2014. Smack in the middle of the Lotus and Lily process. This is a very magical, the whole process. It's not just the mandala. The process of the Lotus and Lily gets you ready to create the mandala. It's not a mandala making experience. If we jumped right to the mandala, it wouldn't work, because you would be creating the mandala from the state or condition that you're in, that you're currently in. It wouldn't be a prayer. It would be a treasure map. And lots of people make them, and that's fine, but it isn't a mystical prayer practice. And I am all about mystical prayer practices. So the year that blessed vibration of Sophia arrived, my entire world upended itself. As the linear constrictions of patriarchy receded, it just no longer made any sense to me to set goals or work to accomplish them, or because even though they're I tried not to be too goal-oriented. Still, this is looking at me every day and reminding me that these are the things that I think should happen in 2011 or 2012. With the arrival of Sophia, it was very clear to me that the focus is only on living my conditions, which is the center of the mandala. How am I going to live in joy and harmony and service? And indeed, big magic started to happen with this mandala, with no more requests from Janet on the periphery. What happened with her arrival is that I became aware of my true nature, which is your true nature. And despite what any religion wants us to believe, we are not flawed human creatures striving to earn some kind of divine redemption or forgiveness. We are living vessels of the sacred feminine. I am a living vessel of the sacred feminine. You are a living vessel of the sacred feminine. The truth is, we were not tossed out of the Garden of Eden. We are the Garden of Eden. You are the Garden of Eden. I am the Garden of Eden. Take that in. That's her eternal truth. So upon her arrival, my mandalas got simpler and simpler, and yet more and more magic happened. I trusted this process completely, but at the same time, I have to admit, I didn't really understand it. I knew it worked, but I didn't have a picture of how it worked until this year. So I got my first taste of just how magical the mandala is as I finished making my 2021 mandala on January 1st of 2021. Now, since 2018, I have made all my mandalas on these inexpensive 12 by 12 stretched canvases. I have a 10-year supply of them. Now, at the time I made my first one, I did buy a whole bunch of colored paint pens because, as you can see from my previous ones, I used color. But when I went to make my 2018, I found all I wanted to do was draw a circle, a simple gold circle. A mandala is a circle, that's non-negotiable. And you'll see why in a moment. And I had all my colors there, but I only wanted to have my little gold circle, the name of the year, and one simple image in the center of the circle. And I found that the simplicity, the simpler, the more powerful. So the last 4 years of these simple gold circle mandalas have been magical, wildly magical. On January 1st of this year, I made my usual gold circle and I traced my hand in the middle. That was yes, I put my hand in the middle of the circle. It was my way of saying yes to the arrival of Mystic Witch. Prayer Artist came in 2018 and Mystic Witch came in August of 2020. And I named my mandala The Return of the Witches. Now, at the time I made this, January 1st of 2021, I didn't really know what that meant, but it is what I heard at the center of a finger labyrinth walk that Emma Kupu Mitchell took us on in the Lotus and Lily last December to begin to hear a little whisper of the year to come. And it's magic. There you are walking a finger labyrinth. And when you get to the center, something happens. You see something, you hear something, you feel something. And what I heard was the return of the witches. Now, if you have been following me and reading these notes from the field, you know that that name, the Return of the Witches, turned out to be the wildest, most magnificent event I have ever created. It just ended August of this year. So after I finished making my 2021 mandala, I placed it next to the 4 that I had made starting in 2018. 2018, Sophia's voice. 2019, original prayer. 2020, make love visible. And 2021, the return of the witches. I looked at these 4 mandalas. I had them laid out in a line. And I simply looked at them. I said their names out loud. And I considered what had actually happened in those 4 magical years. And I burst out laughing because the mandalas had predicted it all. And I was the last to know. So what happened in 2018? In February, I was awakened to the announcement, the joy of being a prayer artist. In 2019, I redefined prayer altogether. I restored prayer to its original power. And I began to deeply, deeply, deeply explore original prayer. Original has, of course, 2 meanings. The ancient is the original, and what you do in the moment isn't original. It's original and unique to you, like an original work of art. In 2020, I received the seed of Mystic Witch, the antidote to patriarchy. Patriarchy makes suffering visible. And I, in advance of receiving the seed, I didn't receive the seed of Mystic Witch until August of 2020, but I committed to making love visible. And then, of course, in 2021, I made love visible in this unique experience, the return of the witches. So say them out loud. Say them in order. See if you hear it. Sophia's voice in original prayer makes love visible for the return of the witches. It's a sentence. It's a song. And these 4 mandalas have been singing this song and singing me into being, but it was only when I lined them up and said them out loud that I began to see the story. They've been telling this story for years. But, okay, I got the story. I got the song. I got that on January 1st of this year when I made the Return of the Witches mandala. But it was only 2 weeks ago when I began to read this astonishing book, When We Cease to Understand the World by Benjamin Labatut. This is the book that got me to see how the mandalas work, and they are far, far, far more magical than I realized. So this all happened because Emma Cooper Mitchell, who is my partner in almost every intensive, has been studying astrology in a very deep way for 6 years with 6 or 7 different teachers. And she asked if in this year's The Lotus and the Lily, if she could bring us and teach us a little bit about the MC in your natal chart as a guide to help you look back at what has happened and get a taste for the year to come. Now, Emma brings us something special every single year in the Lotus and the Lily. Last year, that finger labyrinth happened because she taught us how to walk a finger labyrinth. Nobody could walk an outdoor one, right? Plus, this is a global community on Zoom. So she taught us how to walk a finger labyrinth, both to look back and to look forward. And the experience was so powerful that we asked her to please repeat it, come back, and teach us again how to walk a finger labyrinth to look back and a finger labyrinth to get a whisper of the future. Somehow Emma is always the barometer for exactly where we need to go next and what seed she can bring us in the lotus and the lily to help us grow into the fullness of who we are. So I asked her, do you have anything special planned for Lotus and Lily this year? And she said, why, yes, the MC. What's the MC, right? Well, if you get out your natal chart, it's right there. It's not a planet, but their letters MC, which stands for mid-heaven, is there, and it's a straight line that goes through your natal chart, kind of like the nodes do. The nodes aren't a place. They're not a planet. They're not a star, but it's a line across your natal chart that is incredibly helpful in helping you to see the story you carried into this lifetime, what you're here to grow into, and then carry into the next lifetime. So your MC, this is how she described it, and you can read this on the landing page for the Lotus and the Lily. The MC is an important aspect in your natal chart, the midheaven. Your MC is like a personal antenna or communication channel between your individual life and the unfolding cosmic story. It is your innate wisdom and deep inner knowing. It holds the key to your sense of security and truth. And there could be no more important time to learn about your MC and what it means, because each one of us is going to have to hold on to what we know to be true throughout 2022 and beyond. The astrologers are saying to 2025, as our world continues to unravel and rebuild around whole new ways of living in community with one another and with Mother Earth. So I had that in the back of my mind because Emma and I had already made the landing page video, and we had already, I think we'd even already made a bonus video about the MC, and we had written the landing page. So this was in the back of my mind when I picked up When We Cease to Understand the World. And I stumbled upon a famous mathematician named Alexander Grothendieck's radical quest to unearth the structures underlying all mathematical objects. So Grothendieck was searching for the unification of all mathematics. Well, I've been looking for the unified field of prayer for a really long time. So even though I know nothing about math, I'm interested in numerology. That's true. But I think I got a C- in Algebra 1. It was the only bad grade in my entire high school career. Like, oh, okay. Algebra and I are not exactly best friends. Despite that, as I read, I could feel something drawing me deeper and deeper into this great mathematician's mind. There was some kind of key to unlocking the vice grip of patriarchy waiting for me in this book. I didn't know what it was, but I kept reading. Do you have that experience? I don't, but I just keep turning the pages. Now, I want to read you just a few critical phrases, sentences from this book that just did something to me. Grothendieck's solutions seemed to reveal themselves of their own free will. I immediately started thinking about these mandalas. It has a life of its own. So I've been living with these for 11 years, and I know this. This is not Janet superimposing her will on the mandala. This is the mandala revealing itself of its own free will, like they waited 4 years to tell me they were actually constructing a sentence. Well, That's my mandalas. They reveal themselves in their own time and of their own free will. Next quote about Grothendieck. All he cared about was the relationship between mathematical objects. Now, this word relationship is like going like this with a neon sign for me, because it is one of the 6 mystical definitions of prayer. And it's a wild one. Prayer is alive, and prayer is a relationship. When you pray, you're in a relationship with prayer, and you are in a relationship with everyone that has ever prayed. Now, I know that you weren't taught anything about prayer like that in your patriarchal religions, but this is the living truth of prayer. Okay, now listen to this quote. Whoever writes x to the second plus y to the second equals 1. Now, I grant that even as I underlined that, I don't know, whatever. Do you know that equation? I don't. But whoever writes x to the second plus y to the second equals 1 is describing a perfect circle. I go, oh, circle, got it. Every possible solution to this basic equation represents a circle drawn on a plane. Mandala, circle, drawn on a plane. Natal chart, circle, drawn on a plane. Next quote. But if one considers not only real numbers and the Cartesian plane, but also the bizarre spaces of complex numbers, there appears a series of circles of various sizes that move as if they were living creatures. Eureka. With that sentence, never mind that I don't have a clue what the Cartesian plane is or what complex numbers are. It doesn't matter, because for me, this isn't about math. I could see my mandala vibrating in space around my natal chart, which is the story of my soul at this moment in time. And beyond that, so I can see there's my mandala, there's my natal chart, there's me, vibrating sphere. And beyond that, I could see you, all of us, vibrating inside the sphere of the solar system, which is vibrating inside the sphere of the universes, which is vibrating inside her, the creatrix of all universes, the goddess. This is the mystical body of the goddess. Everything is a sphere. Everything is alive and moving. Everything is in relationship to everything else. And what's the cord that holds this relationship together? What connects everything from your smallest prayer to the vast universe? Your MC. It's a mother cord running right through your natal chart. So I drew this little schemata. That's what Alexander Grothendieck called his thing. He said it was a scheme. So this isn't going to look like much to you, but this changed my world. I drew prayer, natal chart, all the way out to the goddess, and there's the MC running through the entire thing. Now, I will ask graphic artists to help me make that beautiful, but that's how it looked in my newsletter, my journal, and I thought you'd get a kick out of seeing it. I drew my little schemata of all these vibrating spheres connected by the MC, and I contacted Emma. She got on Zoom with me. She listened, she watched. And when I looked up, because it took me, I had to read her all of this. It took me an hour and a half to paint the whole story. And when I looked up, Emma's jaw was down here. And like me, she could barely talk. This is so flabbergasting, so stunning, so rich, so gorgeous. Prayer is connected to your natal chart, which is connected to the earth, which is connected to the solar system. Yeah. So I gave my little schemata a name, which will be the name of my 2022 mandala and the heartbeat of everything I create next year. So you're the first to hear. Now, I'm not going to tell you the name now. I'm going to share the name in the Lotus and Lily Intensive when we get to that part about making our 2022 mandalas. A, because I still want to be open to any shifts or adjustments she wants to make. And B, I don't want to plant that now. I want everyone to stay open to creating your mandala and listening. But I promise I'll tell everybody in the 2022 mandala and 2020 when we get to making our 2022 mandalas in Lotus and Lily. And just in case you're wondering, yes, it's the fifth phrase in that sentence. I don't know how long this sentence is going on. It's gone from being a sentence to a song to, I don't know, like a celestial choir. I don't know. I just listen. So one more quote now that I feel wraps it up about Alexander Grothendieck in this book. Grothendieck did not impose his will on things, preferring to let them grow and develop by themselves. The results had an organic beauty, as though each idea had budded and borne fruit following its own vital impulse. That is a perfect description of the magic of the mandala. Thank you, Alexander Grothendieck. Thank you, Benjamin Labatut, for writing this magical book, and Sophie Strand for recommending it. Thank you to Emma Kupu-Mitchell for listening to the call of the MC and bringing it to us in the Lotus and the Lily. And thank you to my mandalas for singing me into being. I do hope you will join me, Emma Kupu-Mitchell, and an entire global community in this year's The Lotus and the Lily, and discover for yourself just how magical your own mandala for 2022 will be. So I want to close by showing you what that looks like at my website. So I will leave the blog post and go to the landing page, just in case you haven't seen it before. There's the Lotus and the Lily. We will be completing 2021 and entering and creating 2022. Here's the landing page video Emma and I made. Here's the description that she and I worked on, a little information about the numerology and astrology, some of the things we're going to explore together, the schedule, the list of master videos. This is a smorgasbord. This is a feast. The Lotus and the Lily is a feast. And you have a lot of time because we meet 5 times between the middle of November and the middle of December, but then we don't meet again until the second Sunday in January when we bless and share our mandalas. So there's plenty of time. And there's your registration choices. And don't forget, if you're in Europe, there's a UK watch party. And our special events are on Saturdays and Sundays at 2:00 Eastern so that our friends in Europe can join. And there's a little information about me and Emma. And Kahulahela, because we're going to have a special Hana Ikaponos session to cut any negative aqua cords left over from 2021. So this has been fun for me. I had to leave the blog up so I could read it to you. I'm hoping that I held everything up basically enough in front of the camera that you could see it. And if you like these, I will continue to read. And you can tell I don't stick to the script. I go, oh, let me show you this. And oh, let me show you that. So it's a very rich experience of my notes from the field newsletters. And if you don't get them yet, please come and subscribe. So in the links below, Jamie will post a link to, well, all of these goodies. The landing page to register for Lotus and Lily, my professional page so that you can come and always know what's happening, and the blog and all the goodies. And thank you so much for being on this channel. It's been slowly evolving, and now, thanks to my 2022 name of my year, mandala, I now know what she, the sacred feminine, wants me to do with this channel. And I hope to be bringing you rich, glorious, prayer-filled experiences here on the Janet Connor YouTube channel. And yes, it'll have a name, but not just yet. That's coming. Thanks for listening.